What is happening, everybody? How are we doing tonight? I hope all is well. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope everybody's feeling well. Um, I wanted to try to wait a second, but we're going to get rolling. Let me just say hello to whoever's in the chat, and we will get rolling. Cinnamon Girl, always a pleasure. Matty Boy, thank you for not taking your nap yet. Billy Boy, chatting with Stacks, my man, you know it, brother. You know the game, Billy. If you can, you know how to do it. Cinnamon's here. We can drop that link. Anybody has a link that I respect their show, and we respect their show as a group, a community. You want to drop it? Feel free to drop it. Roy, always a pleasure. Tommy, real deal. Thank you so much. It's good to see you. Me and your buddy up north, we had a great conversation about you. We always do. Great to see you here. Maureen, always a pleasure. Always. Dana, how are you? Pleasure to see you. It's always good to see names. It's always good to see. I wish we gotta figure out a new way to communicate where we can get voices and really get people involved. So I'm just gonna throw everybody up there that we know is in the house. Tommy Real Deal, Davey T. Um, while I got yous, while we got some people together here, um, I just want to say, I don't know if he's in here yet, but he will be here and he'll be a guest of ours. Most likely, we're shooting for Monday. Mr. John Farinacci. We had a great conversation. He's going to share with us on Monday night, most likely. I think we're going with Monday night of next week. Yes, he is. John is in the house. I would like everybody to show John what we do with everybody here. We're a group, we're a community of friends, kind of like family, I believe. And Nikki, John is in the house. Um, and let's show him some love like we do everybody that comes in this room. Because we want to be a different group. We want to be that group where it's comfortable to be here and the respect and love is shown for each other as much it is for whoever's sitting up here showing their face. Awesome. Makes everything good. So, John, I let the cat out of the bag. John will spend time with me and Timmy Irish, which probably will be Timmy's last night, as I said, for a little bit till we figure out. Bobby, how are you? Good to see you. Always. Um, Timmy will be out for some weeks due to work issues, but Timmy is with us all the time. He'll be back with us, but John will be a guest. Mr. John Farinacci will be a guest with us Monday night. We'll be talking about his boxing career and his story. I don't want to give too much away with that. John will share the rest of that on Monday night. We'll get that etched in stone, but I think we're leaning that way. Timmy will be up on the desk with us as we go through that, and we'll show one of John. John will pick out one of his fights with whoever he chooses, and that will be the fight we go with, and maybe we'll do something after that, but that will be the fight we go with. So, John, welcome to the family. Welcome to the community with the Reality Report and Craig and Friends. Without further ado, I gave somebody my word I would start with this, so let me just start the show off. Most won't understand why I'm saying this, but afterwards, if you'd like to know why I said it, I'll be more than happy to tell you. Nick, this goes out to you. Green eggs and ham, I said I am. Would you like that with a house? Or maybe a mouse? That's all I got down so far. I got two quotes from a classic, an instant classic. Green eggs and ham. I said I am. I know you're laughing. Let's rock and roll. Let's get into it. What I wanted to do tonight was is this security series, this I really don't know what to call it. This celebrity series. Well, I worked all these venues, and and really was due to I had to do things in the real world, in the real life. Meaning that it was time to um, do things the right way. And So whatever it took, no matter how many jobs, and I had a good paying union job, but it just wasn't enough. You had right, you had I had children, I had young children, and with that comes responsibility. So I did a lot of security work. Fortunately for me, or unfortunately, however you look at it, um, I got a lot of security work, and it wound up landing me getting work for what they called back then. I think it's probably still today the A list. So I wound up working venues, like we said, for these big places in Manhattan that only hosted certain kinds of people. Now, the thank you, Tommy. The Doorman. That's it. The Doorman series. Tommy, real deal. Perfect. We're going to call it the Doorman series. So once a week, we'll do the Doorman series. So I really was, Wyatt Earp. Pleasure, my man. Great to see you. Timmy Irish, always love you, buddy. Tommy, honestly, that is a good name. We're going to call it the Doorman series. So tonight, the Doorman series is going to take us to not where we were last week or the week before with the whole P. Duty thing. We're going to go to Tao, New York, 58th Street and Madison Avenue. Some of you guys looked it up. We could go to it. We're waiting. I'm not waiting for the sideline scout, who happens to be my son Antonio, but he was a young boy and he plays a part in this with my other children and some nephews and a neighbor and my mom, believe it or not, because I'm going to tell you what happened on this night. So I work that particular evening. I'm scheduled to work at Tao Francis's Pleasure. So I'm scheduled to work at Tao, New York. Now, I've said before, if you want to look it up as we talk, you get a feel for Tao, New York. It's still there. They also have opened another big one, which I had said I was asked to go and be part of the security team out there when they opened their new place in Vegas, which is inside the Venetian. And to this day, I hear it's one of the hottest nightclubs in Vegas. It's a restaurant nightclub. The one in Manhattan, New York City, is strictly a restaurant, lounge, but it was always for you always had. I told the story of Jerry Bruckheimer and Buster Rhymes being there, but you had it was more of an, believe it or not, it was more of an athlete teams, teams that were coming in town to play the Jets, the Giants, the Yankees, or the Mets. Somehow found their way to eat at Tao. Now the executive chef. I like to explain things thoroughly. You know, the executive chef was well loved. Their food was amazing. Um, you know, I wasn't big on the Asian fusion. I didn't know the words. You grow up Italian American. You eat what's put in front of you. Anything else, especially me, I was that picky guy. Like if I never heard of it or I never ate it, I never ate it. I just assumed it wasn't good. Well, you find out later in life you missed out on a lot of good food. But anyway, working for Tao, especially in security, when you work a lot of these venues, part of one of your little perks is you get to eat good food for free. That's the truth. You get fed at the end of the night. And I'm not talking about, like just a big plate of pasta or something cheap. No, they give you food. They gave you, if they made way too many dishes or they just had so much, we ate like kings, especially the security team. We were treated very well when it came to food. Baywatch, I love you, brother. Good to see you in the house. So it takes us to Tao. So I'm scheduled to work Tao. I get to Tao, and my role that night, I don't remember exactly where I was going to be positioned, but I remember being about, I believe it was either a Thursday night or a Friday night. I'm sure my son Antonio is going to come in because we had a little talk about it, and he was going back and forth with me. No, Dad, I remember it was a Thursday or Friday, whatever. But I do remember coming in, and I believe I might have been at the front door, it doesn't matter where I was, but I remember Sam Hazen, the gentleman I tell you about, who was the executive chef. Not only was he well loved, but liked by all of these teams and athletes that would come in. He was well liked. He was well liked by staff. He was really a good guy with a great personality, and he had this amazing skill to be an amazing chef. Now, when you're at that level as an executive chef, you're just making sure the kitchen is being run right and everything's being done to your liking. I'm not a cooking show. I'm just trying to explain what his role was. He ran Tao, and people would come because he ran Tao, not just because it was beautiful and all of that. So I remember Sam coming up to me very early in that evening. I might have been an hour into the shift, and him saying to me, you know, obviously I wasn't new there. I had been there a while. And I remember Sam saying to me, you know, Craig, listen, and it's not the norm for somebody to do this. So this shows the kind of guy he was. He knew I had young children, and they were football fans and happened to be Pittsburgh Steelers fans like their father. And Sam comes up to me and says, Craig, listen, just letting you know, I got a call from Jerome Bettis, and some of the guys are coming in. They'll be here in about an hour or so. So if you have any way to get the kids down here, you know, I'll see to it that they get autographs, whatever it is that they want. So, hey, Nicholas, your uncle's got a good story to tell here. You being a Steeler fan, you'll hear about how Antonio and Vincent and everybody was able to meet the team. So, and your dad will tell you. So he tells me, they're supposed to be in about an hour or so. But by this time, for whatever reason, I remember I didn't have much time. Obviously, now I'm thinking. At first, I'm like, forget it. There's no way I can get them down here. I'm working. How am I going to get them down here? So there's only one person to call. Good old mom, right? So I reach out to my mom. Thank you, Tommy. Thank you so much. Any like is appreciated, that's for sure. So I reach out to my mom, right? I said, Mom, can you do me a favor? Of course. What is it? She's figuring, what do you need now? Maybe I need 10,000. I don't know. Who knows what my mother's thinking? She went through a lot. But anyway, I said, no, and my mom knew football. My mother knew football. She had sons that played football, and she knew the game. It was a Sunday thing here. So, and my boys played ball, so she would come to all their games. So I said, no, I'm at Tao tonight. She knew the places I worked, and I said, they're going to be in. I don't know who's going to be here, but the executive chef, just told me, if I had a way to get them down here, if we could get them here, I could get them some stuff signed, and it'd be a great thing for them and make them happy. They were young kids going through. Listen, they were young kids, and they were going to be around some of the guys they looked up to. No different than me being a young kid, loving the young Steelers back in the '70s of Jack Lambert, Jack Ham, Bradshaw, and all those guys. So it was no different for them to love Roethlisberger's rookie year. This was Roethlisberger's rookie year. Jerome Bettis, Joey Porter, and so forth and so on. Well, my mom says, no problem. No problem. So I say, who's there? It just happened to be my daughter, very young at the time, obviously. My two sons, Vincent and Antonio. I thought my nephew Joseph was here, but she just told me now, no, he wasn't. I'll have to say, Jojo, if you're watching, you got to let me know. I thought you were. And the kid next door was a neighbor. They knocked on his door. They were friends. They said, come on, we're going to go meet. We're going to go to my dad's job and meet some of the Pittsburgh Steelers, not knowing. I wasn't sure who was coming in because you never knew. Some of the team, half of the team, the whole team. You just didn't know. A couple of guys. Well, that particular night, for any football fans out there or anybody that knows football, um, the Steelers that came in that night was Jerome Bettis, Ben Roethlisberger, who was a rookie that year. He just got drafted into the NFL, so he was a rookie. I'll tell you the reason why they were in town, because they were playing the Giants. They're playing the Giants. Antonio was supposed to be in here because he had some things he wanted to add to it, but that I didn't remember. He reminded me of. Long story short, they were in town to play the Giants. So I believe it was a Friday night for a Monday night game. But whatever, you can look it up. December 18th of '04. I remember '04 because in '05 I had started doing some other work with the Ciprianis of the world and the other companies. So the bus is there, Jerome Bettis, Ben Roethlisberger, a player by the name of Deshae Townsend, James Faria, linebacker, Joey Porter. Antonio, is he in the house? If he's here, he'll shed some more information. Maybe I'm forgetting. Joey Porter. I thought Taylor was there. Anyway, there's probably about 8 or 9 Steelers there. Mom rushes from Queens, gets her grandchildren, anything for the grandchildren. Believe me, it wasn't for the son, it was for her grandchildren. But she's making dad look good here. So she gets my children to Manhattan. Now, no traffic from where we are in Queens to Manhattan is no traffic, 12 minutes drive, 15 at most. Right over the 59th Street Bridge, for anybody that knows. And boom, Towers on the east side, 59th Street, between Madison and I believe it's right on Madison, 58th and Madison. You can look it up; it'll tell you. And so Sam tells me to have the kids come. My mom shows up, and like maybe 15 minutes before my mom gets there, the Steelers get there, and all those guys are there. And I remember, Sam Hazen introducing me to them. And he tells, I think he told Jerome Bettis that my children, I was one of their good guys in security, and he would appreciate it as a personal favor to him if Jerome could see to it that the kids that were about to come in, before their dinner, if they could, sign some stuff or whatever it is. And I told Sam, I'll make sure I don't overdo it, out of respect. The guy was being such a good guy. He didn't have to do that. I'll make it real quick, then just real quick, let them eat their dinner. Well, the way it worked out was, it took my mother a little bit longer to get there than expected. Not much longer, but a little longer. Maybe she hit a little traffic, which at that time usually isn't traffic. But whatever happened. By this time, they're eating dinner or they're sitting down having appetizers. I forget what it was, but they're eating. So now you have a restaurant. First of all, no kids, or when you first walk in town, the lounge is right there. So you don't see children. Even the adults that ate there, in all the years that I worked there doing security, I truly don't ever recall seeing children eating there, even with their parents, or I don't recall it. I just don't. I can't say for sure that ever happened, but I don't recall it ever happening on my watch anyway. So that was an odd thing to let my children even in the restaurant. So they come in, and as they come in, me being, I'm a certain way, don't overdo it. Sam is going to take us over to the table, Mr. Hazen. You guys, I'm trying to tell them to stay calm, but let's face it, they're kids. Maybe they're '04. I'm trying to think. They're born in. So they're 9 years old, like, in that 9-year-old area. And I have 2 of my boys are 11 months apart, born the same year, '93. One January, one December. My daughter's 3 years old, so my boys are 9 and 10, or they could have been nine at the same time. Right, they were probably nine. Vincent would have been 10 in January, and my daughter is 13. Um, yeah, 13. She just turned 13. I was going to be 13. So that gives you just an idea of the range of the kids. So they come over, and we tell them, guys, you got to take it easy, whatever. Sam brings them over to the table. They're having, I believe it was appetizers, and I he tells me to come over with them. I felt odd. I mean, these guys are eating dinner. You know what I mean? You don't interrupt. But Sam was the man, and Sam was the man. Green eggs and ham, no doubt. So hold on, guys. We have a little situation with our camera. We back on. Okay. So we had a little situation with the camera there. I don't know what that was about, but as long as you guys could see me. So we get over to the table, and I'm introducing I'm not introducing. Sam is introducing my kids, gets their names, and introduces them to Jerome Bettis and all these players, and they are signing everything. My son Antonio, who you guys have seen in here before, he grabbed whatever he could find. He had on back then. There was a player for the Steelers. His name was Plaxico Burris. Yeah, Dr. Seuss got the stream, no doubt. Mouse was in the house. So he's got on this Plaxico Burris jersey. He's got on these Steeler wristbands, whatever he could get signed. They brought footballs. I'm like, oh my God, part of me is a little embarrassed. Like I told them don't overdo it, but they were so excited. I couldn't listen. This is their moment. These are the guys, man. They love this team. These are they're heroes. They look up to these guys. This is why they're playing football. This is their favorite team, and they're getting a chance to be up close with them and have them sign everything they have. And they can't believe, like, to them, Dad is making this happen, but Mr. Hazen, Sam Hazen, the executive chef, is making it happen. They were so nice. Joey Porter, Pro Bowl player, stud football player. Roethlisberger was a rookie. I told Timmy Irish before we got on, I said, and I think I told Maddie this story. I said, I don't know if Roethlisberger was an introvert, or he was just cocky. Later in life, he turned out to be a much more approachable guy, from what I understand, and a likable person. Maybe the younger years, I don't know. He just not that he wasn't friendly with the kids. He was. He just wasn't. He was a little bit more. I sensed, honestly, Hollywood. Yeah, I did. That's the truth. But not rude or disrespectful. Jerome Bettis, class act. The whole team, whoever was there, James Farrier, Deshae Townsend, all the guys I can name, awesome, awesome. And I'll never forget, my kids just like could not believe they got football signed, shirts they were wearing, whatever they could think of, they had them sign. Menus. I'll never forget, they were looking for paper or something. Sam Hazen. I hope Sam is doing well. I'm sure he is. I hope he is. I pray he is. Sam grabbing one of the menus from Tao, and this was a heavy menu. You know, it's a fancy restaurant. It's a heavy menu. It's not like just a piece of paper. And I'm sure they weren't cheap either. Not that, I'm just trying to make a point. He takes this menu. He goes, here, pass this around. He's telling them now, the team, pass this around and sign this for them too. Like, even though they signed all of these things already, Sam Hazen is, no, please sign this for them. And it's one of Tao's menus. All the players are signing it, and they're like in another world, shaking their hands, who's hugging them, and they just can't believe it. And to be honest, like I told Timmy, I said, and some time went by. I said, okay, boys, my daughter Elizabeth, we got to, the kid Steve, I think was the neighbor. I said, all right, all right, that's it now, guys. They had spent some time. Nicholas, if you listen, and they spent, I don't know, it would seem like a long time. Maybe it was only 15 minutes, but other people are looking, and we get them. I get them back to the car and tell my mother thank you so much, and they're so excited, and they got all their stuff and they leave. And then it dawns on me, like it hits me, you know. And I had gotten used to dealing with a lot of the athletes and whatever we call the celebrity whole thing. I got used to it. It was not a big thing for me because I got used to it. But as a kid, it's different. But what I want to say is this, and I'll never forget being outside. Yes, Nicholas, there's still some Ben Roethlisberger footballs, but I will tell you this: your crazy cousins. Um, and when you speak to your cousin Antonio, ask him. The Joey Porter signed football, and he might have won the Defensive Player of the Year or went to the Pro Bowl that year or made All Pro. Like 3 days later, they were playing football in the street with that football. So here he is. He's in the house now. So we're talking about the Joey Porter football. How long it took before you guys were throwing that football in the street, playing with it. So Nicholas was asking, and I was just telling the story on how you guys got a chance to meet these guys. And then, it dawned on me. I walked outside and there's Joey Porter standing outside, and I felt a need to say to him, thank you. But I also felt this need to say to him, thank you so much, because had you guys been anything but, and you remember, I know I repeated this, so your father said it. Not disrespectful at all. I was grateful, very grateful for what they had just done for my children. Um, but I'll never forget saying to him, Joey, I want to thank you so much for taking your time and all the guys for doing this, because honestly, because you are to these kids what Jack Lambert was to me. I looked up to him. I tried to model my game after him. Had you guys been anything less than, and it's not probably right for me to say this, but I said it. Had you guys been anything less than like so gracious and so amazing to these children that you don't know at all, in the back of my mind, I'm saying, I probably would have poisoned their food. No, I wouldn't do that. But I would have never rooted for this team again. I would have never gave a shit about them, you know. And I learned, and I shared this with Timmy. It just so happened to work out that this group of Steelers happened to be a good bunch of good dudes that gave their time. Now, did they give their time because the executive chef? Absolutely. If it wasn't for Sam Hazen, this never happens. But they were still no attitudes, signing more, going overboard. Antonio could tell you. I mean, and the impression it left on these kids, it would have changed them if they would have saw something different, even though they were young. Forget about they would have had to hear from me. I better not ever see them on TV again. If I ever hear you talk about them, whatever, I was going to. So it just worked out to be beautiful. And it just happened to be a team that I liked as a kid, that my kids turned to like, and it's been passed on to so many, and we're from New York City, but there are a lot of Steeler fans in New York City. And that's going to bring me, that's really what I wanted to share about this story tonight, how it was a great story as far as doing right by kids. Yes, they were my kids. If there were other kids, I would have told the story. I just didn't there was not many kids that went to Tao, so I guess that was a perk that I had because I was built a relationship with the executive chef. And yeah, Larry Foote. I forgot Larry Foote was there. Casey Hampton. I forgot about some of the names. So Antonio's giving you guys an idea on some of the people that were there that he got stuff signed from. So, but I was saying to somebody like Dave T from Boston. I hope you're still here. I want to share this with you. I started to learn how to root for individuals. So I had a preconceived notion I couldn't stand the Mets, right? I'm from New York City. I'm a diehard Yankee fan, although I grew up and where I'm sitting right now is a 5 minute drive less to Citi Field where the Mets play. That's where I grew up. And I'm sitting here now. And I can't stand the Mets. Or I couldn't stand the Mets. But in that world, you start to develop relationships with individuals. So now all of that, I can't stand this team, I can't stand that team, starts to go out the window because you become friendly on a regular basis. You become friendly because you're with these people often. If I worked the place often, I got to know them. Davey, I'm going to tell you something about some Red Sox. So I couldn't stand the Mets, but I developed a relationship because he would come in with a gentleman that played for the Mets. His name was David Wright. He was a superstar at one time for the Mets, but injuries held his career back. David Wright was a gentleman, a gentleman's gentleman, 100%. How could you dislike the man or root against him when he was nothing but respectful, a good person, didn't overplay his hand by being that superstar athlete that needed all this attention? That was not him. I cannot tell you how many times he would tell me, come to Citi Field, I'll have tickets waiting for you. Just a gentleman, a gentleman. We talked much about, I had a cousin who's no longer here that was drafted uh, to play Major League Baseball, but um, my aunt and uncle wanted him to get an education. So rather than go to the rookie league um, for the team that drafted him, they wanted him to get a college education. He then got a full ride to go to a school in Virginia. Here's where the David Wright stuff comes in, which was called Old Dominion, still out there. Old Dominion's in Virginia. So me and David Wright, that's how our conversation began. When I said to him, yeah, my cousin played ball at Old Dominion, in Virginia. He, Mets AAA team back then was the Tidewater Tides. I don't know if they still are. And then it just kicked off a relationship between me and David Wright. So when David Wright would come into town, being that he was in New York half the year, or he lived in New York, period, he loved Tao, so he would be in Tao a lot. And it was just, so you started to develop more of, yes, I'm a Yankee fan. Yes, I root against some of the people in here that I care for dearly. I root against their teams. Davey T, Nick. I go through all of them. I don't know who everybody's team is. I hope the Yankees pound the Toronto Blue Jays tomorrow, mercifully. But there's a dear friend in here that's a big Blue Jay fan. So somewhere in between tomorrow, we'll talk about it and we'll make nice. But the relationships, Dave T, Johnny Damon, David Wells, Jason Varitek, and I believe it was Trot Nixon. Party animals, good guys. Good guys. They just wanted to have a good time. And they were the kind of guys, now dreaded Yankees, right? Hated. So you think, as a Yankee, they don't know I'm a Yankee fan, right? And I'm just doing my job at Tao. I'm just doing my job. But it starts with Johnny Damon. Hey pal, it's late at night. Any good spots, afterwards, that you know of? They would always come to security or the general manager. Somebody would always point somebody out in security. Hey, maybe they know what's going on after hours, whatever. Not that they were looking out for an after hour joint, just, what's happening at 1 o'clock in the morning. What's a good spot still at 2 in the morning? And, in the security end, we knew what was hot on what nights, what's hot, what is it. So it started with that. And before you know it, you're getting friendly with Johnny Damon. And now you're rooting for Johnny Damon. And not only Johnny Damon, you're getting friendly with David Wells and Trot Nixon and Jason Varitek, who would later fist fight with Alex Rodriguez. And you find yourself rooting for Varitek to kick his ass. That's the truth. I'm being honest with you. So, and then in that situation, I had a couple of I had a few drinks back then in those days. I had a few cocktails with these guys. They were regular people, hard not to root for. Hard not to root for. A guy from the Baltimore Orioles. I'm just these are just things I'm thinking of. His name was Brian Roberts. He was a second baseman for the Baltimore Orioles. Hey, Brian, what's up, my brother? So Brian Roberts was a second baseman for the Baltimore Orioles, where I believe he had his best years. At one point, I believe Brian Roberts was an all-star. Doesn't matter about a player. He was an all-star as a human being. I'm working the floor one night. Some of the Orioles come in. I'm not even told. I might have been told, but somebody's, hey, and I'm talking to this guy for about an hour. I'm working like the dining room. And I had said before previously, in the dining room at Tao, there were stairs. So you could either go upstairs, which was even more beautiful, lounge, bar, restaurant, both floors gorgeous. So I'm talking to this guy for like an hour, and he not that a big size man. It just wasn't a big guy. He looked a little frail, to be honest with you. John, man, it's a pleasure that you're here, John Farinacci. It's a pleasure you're here. I can't wait to have you Monday. The people, our crew is going to love to hear from you Monday, as well as me and Timmy and a friend of yours that's in the room right now. And it's great to know we have friends up north on the other side of the border. That is awesome. And I'm speaking about Brian Roberts right now. And what I want to say is, so he's kind of frail. And this guy's talking to me for an hour. And we're just having like this great down to earth conversation. I hear like a little Southern accent, what I think, but what do I know from New York? We butcher the language. I mean, my own wife even tells me at times, what did you just say? And I could get into a whole story about how funny I talk to people, but you don't realize it. But to me, I heard like a Southern accent. So we're having a great conversation, and just a regular guy, and I don't know who he is. I don't care, but not that I don't care, but I just don't know. It didn't come to mind. Like, who is he? Just a friendly guy. We're having a good conversation, talking about New York, this, that, and I'm giving him whatever I can tell him about New York. Good food. Who's got this? Who's got that? Yes, absolutely, Timmy. And so he goes to the men's room or wherever he did, and then somebody comes over to me and says, "You know who that is?" I said, "No, no idea." That's Brian Roberts. So I knew baseball. I said, "Oh, the second baseman for the Orioles?" Yeah. And they just said to me, one of the security guys, "Man, he's shooting the breeze with you." I said, "Yeah, good guy, man. Down to earth. Never once does he mention to me I'm an all-star second baseman for the Baltimore Orioles. Not a hint of that. Hey, I'm this athlete. No. Down to earth stuff. Hey, where can I get this? What about this neighborhood? What about New York? Just talking all about good stuff." And not only that, guess the conversation. I said, "All right." And then I find out. After about an hour, it's only you introduce yourself. I said, "By the way, my name's Craig Gatto. It's a pleasure speaking with you," because I knew he was getting ready to go. And that's when he says, "My name is Brian Roberts," and I didn't say nothing. And I wanted to say, "Brian Roberts, the second baseman for the Baltimore Orioles." He walked. He says, "I said, all right, have a good night." Now starts to walk away. He stops, turns back. He only gets maybe about 5 feet from me. He says, "Let me ask you a question. Are you a baseball fan?" I said, I'm a baseball fan. I'm sure he's going to ask me who I like. And so before I take that away from him, I said, "Yeah, I'm a huge Yankee fan. They're in town. Now it's registered. They're in town. He's in town. They're playing the Yankees." They might have had inter squad back then, but they were playing the Yankees. I knew it. I'm a Yankee fan, so I probably must have knew the Orioles were in town playing the Yankees. Comes back, he says, "You baseball fan?" "Yeah, I'm big Yankee fan. Yeah, I root for the Yankees, sure. Love baseball." He says, You have kids? That's what he says to me. You have any young ones? Absolutely. I said, yes. Yeah, I do. Um, I have three and another one on the way, which was the case. He says, how about this? He says, tomorrow we're playing, it's an afternoon game. I'll never forget it. He says, we start early. It was 1 o'clock start. He says, I'm going to leave 8 tickets for you at what they call the will call desk. I think we've spoke about will call. That's where tickets are left in any stadium. That's what they call it, the will call desk. He was going to leave eight tickets for you. You're going to be sitting right on our dugout. It's reserved for like family and friends. He says, I don't have nobody up here in New York. He says, but if I can get you to enjoy the game with your children, I don't care. Root for your team. But if I can get you a good seat, it'd be my pleasure to do that. And he just said you've been a gentleman. He just asked me to just being cordial. That's all. We're just being men, talking, being respectful to each other. I'm going to tell you how I screwed that up, Matt, in a second. So nice, just a gentleman. We shake hands. I said, Brian, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to meet you. You ever come to town, ask for me, look for me. If there's anything I could ever do, if you're not happy, honestly, with Wade, they're always going to take care of him anyway. But he wasn't that kind of guy that would probably bitch and moan if he, the teams usually sat kind of together anyway. But if there's anything I could ever do, if I can, I can. If I can, I can. I'll do whatever I can for you. Thank you so much. That never happened. I think I saw Brian maybe once after that. But what happens is I get home and I think I called my brother Joey. He was, God rest his soul, he was alive. And I tell him, I wasn't sure if I could make it. Or that had an early start, or I was trying to figure out how to make it. Long story short, as Matt will attest to, because I have to come clean on a situation with him, which I told him I'll do on air. I oversleep the next day. I was working a lot of hours, good excuse. And those 8 tickets that Mr. Roberts was so nice to gift to us, never got used. Nobody ever showed up at the stadium. I felt bad from a standpoint of, he was nice enough to offer them, but I said, I'll do the best I can. Thank you so much. But it wasn't like and I know if we would have went there, no question, the kids would have got on the field. They would have took pictures because I know that. I just know that. It's not me guessing. They would have got, but I just couldn't make it happen. I don't know if it was I didn't have them that week, whatever it was. I just couldn't make it happen. You're right. And I happened to see him some months later, and we didn't bring the subject up. But, I'm sure they I find out later on that a lot of guys will do that. They'll leave tickets in a certain city if they have nobody. They get a certain amount of tickets for every stadium they go to, every city. So if they really don't have any friends or family in that area, maybe in this case he ran into a guy that he enjoyed the conversation with, and he left tickets for him and his family. Or they'll give them to another player who has family from New York or whatever, and the whole team or a bunch of guys that don't have nobody coming, that guy will wind up with 50, 60 tickets, and he'll just disperse them to people from the city in this case. So that was Brian Roberts. That was a little bit about the Pittsburgh Steelers and Johnny Damon and some of the Boston Red Sox. So I learned to root. Yes, I'm still a Yankee fan. Not a crazy Yankee fan no more, though. Not out of control. Yeah, I'd like to see them win, but it doesn't change the reality of life. It's not like that. Like when you're young and you want to fist fight over games and craziness. I root for the Steelers objectively. I say it for what it is. I look at it from a little bit different perspective. More of what they need to do get better. Maybe people don't enjoy watching football with me. I really don't look at center quarterback exchange snaps. That's another story. Um, and that was that. But now on to Matt. Matt will understand how I missed the Oriole game because he told me never to do this, but I will do this. Me and Matt were going to go out to breakfast a couple weeks ago, and Matt showed up at my house. Yeah, doesn't paint me in a good light. Stevie, what's happening, buddy? Doesn't paint me in a good light for sure. So Matt drives from nice drive to where I am in Queens, College Park, Queens. And guess who does not wake up in time while Matt is waiting for me for us to go out for breakfast? Yours truly. So now I'm 2 for 2. I did it to Brian Roberts of the Baltimore Orioles, and I did it to my friend, your community friend, our brother from the channel, Mr. Matty Boy. I did it to him for breakfast. There's not enough apologies I could give, but Matt wound up settling for a toasted corn muffin, I believe, rather than a big breakfast. So, Matty Boy, I hope you forgive me. And I wanted to share that with you. I didn't want to come in here tonight. Benny, what's happening, my brother? There's going to be plenty of stories. I know that, pal. I know that. Thank you for forgiving me. But there's going to be plenty of stuff of, maybe it's not such, nice things. And you guys don't, it's not about being afraid to say it. You just don't want to say things because maybe to say things just to piss on somebody, to give them a bad name. Maybe that person had a bad day, so they weren't overly friendly. But if I say to you that somebody, like the Rod Stewart thing I talked about, I said it so heavily and so strongly like that because it was like that. He didn't have a bad day. That's who he is. Whatever. But that's my point. And look, this is something, I said we would do. As we go, I'm telling you, I didn't realize it. I spent a lot more years than I thought. Right. If I showed that thumbnail the other night, and I showed those years of street life, and I just happened to use that thumbnail for a reason. And I said in '02, I had a case that was coming to a close. So I started probably hustling security late '03, '04. So yeah, so I had more years with the security stuff than I had thought. Maybe just a couple more, but there's a lot of celebrity stuff and stuff to share. But I don't always want to come in here and be that guy. Oh, he's going to say something bad about this one. No, but if there is something to say that rubbed me wrong, I'm going to say it. Not to nitpick. If I see, if I saw you being rude to people, I'm going to say it. If I had a story like this where they were overly gracious, I'm going to say it. So that's all. Anybody want to come up? Anybody's got anything they want to say? You guys always know you got an open link, whoever it is. Anything you want to get off your chest, any hot topics, anything. This ain't always about me. I'm just sharing what I can share. I've shared it. Next week, there'll be more. I do want to say, before anybody decides if they want to come up or not, for whoever's interested, Antonio and myself have as we get close to this NFL draft, we're going to have a new mock draft. We'll go over the safeties. We're going to go over the NFC East. And whoever comes up in the chat, that day. We're going to do it Sunday afternoon at 4 p.m. We're going to try an afternoon mock. But we're going to do it with live trades, meaning phones are going to ring. You'll get the idea of what it's like, what goes on in what they call the war rooms of these NFL teams. So trades will be happening live. So my phone might ring when I'm on the clock to pick for, say, the New York Giants, New Jersey Giants, or Tommy Real Deal's Buffalo Bills. And I'm ready to make a selection, and the phone might ring. And it'll be a GM from another team that wants to make a move. Maybe he wants to make trade picks. Well, there's a cost for doing business. Maybe the trades will be done live, where you can hear them. They'll be explained why they're done the way they're done. They'll be explained why it costs so much to move from here to there, if there's an interest in that. But it takes you further inside what's called the war room. That's all. Um, but that will be on Sunday. I was going to do it as an upload, but me and Antonio talked. He's been working like crazy. Um, and we're going to do that Sunday afternoon rather than late at night. This way, everybody can watch some other stuff they want to watch, and gives whoever has it, got to get up early Monday morning can do that. And Monday night, we're going to have on new friend to the show who's going to share boxing, his life in the ring. Um, Whatever he could share with us, he will share with us his experience, who he fought, and we're probably going to watch who he fought that night, which is Monday night in our boxing classic series. So not only are we going to get an interview with John Franciotti, who fought in the flyweight division. John's going to share with us some things that I asked him, who he's fought, whoever the chat has in mind. They want to ask him. John is opening himself up to us, which is an amazing thing. To be transparent and speak the brutal truths, whether you win or lose. And in the fight game, it's a tough world, tough game. So we all know that. If there's anybody that wants to grab a link and come on, I'll drop a link. You come on, tell us what's on your mind. I want to share with you guys something very quick. I'm going to be writing. I'm not great with the writing, as you could see. I butcher the English language, and I don't text so well. So I thought about writing some new additions to Green Eggs and Ham. Don't laugh, Nick. Um, but it's all right, Maureen. We love you. Um, but I'm going to come up with a new series, Nick. I'm going to come up with a series of fictional books, and we'll we'll come up with something. But everybody, whoever can, we got a good show planned for Sunday for football lovers. As the draft gets closer, we need to up our game. And you enjoy yourself. Have a great stay in Florida. I hope the weather's great, and we will definitely see you when you get back. Be safe, be well, and we love you. We look forward to you being here all the time. Thank you. Be safe. Enjoy your trip. Take some sun for me. I could use it. Um, well deserved, I'm sure. So Sunday will be a great, what I believe. It's what I enjoy. So for me, it's great. But unless you got to really truly like football at that level. But we're going to do it where there's live trades. You'll see trades going on. It'll be a little chaotic because that gets chaotic, and you'll see what it is for the cost of business. How a team can move from 20 to 9, and what it cost them to move from the 20th pick to the 9th pick, and how they arrive at this what's called a point chart. But we'll get into that. God bless the baby. Enjoy the christening. That is awesome. Great stuff. Keep that stuff coming. Keep all that great stuff coming. God bless. Many more, that's for sure. Amen. I guess that's it for tonight. I hope you enjoyed what little time we shared together tonight. Usually we go long with it, a lot longer, but I wanted to share this particular story, and we wind up sharing a couple more about Brian Roberts, David Wright, some of the Boston Red Sox that I got to know. Unfortunately, David T, I'm going to share some stories about Manny Ramirez that you might not like. No, you'll appreciate it, David. Coming from me, you know it's the truth, and I'll only tell you the truth. Um, and It actually disappointed me. And I wasn't a Red Sox fan, but it disappointed me um, with Manny Ramirez a little bit. But you would find out later in life, typical Manny. You remember that saying, Manny being Manny. Anyway, you guys be well, be safe. I know it was a short one. Some of these might go longer, some of them might go shorter. William Brooklyn, what's up, my brother? Um, have a great evening. Love you. The Italian good night, Jimmy. Tommy. The Italian good night. No kisses tonight, though. I promise. Jimmy D here. Thank you. We got our man 50 grand, Dana. Our man 50 grand, 100 grand. Jimmy D live tomorrow night from 30 Rock. He will be here 8:30 Sunday, the football show. So we'll see everybody hopefully tomorrow night 8:30. Should be a good one. Usually always is. God knows what will be said tomorrow night, but I know it will be enjoyable. Everybody, get ready for Mr. Jimmy D tomorrow night. And I leave you on this. Love, safety, God bless. Make somebody laugh. Tell somebody you love them. All right? Ah, that's right, Tommy. Never too short. I love you, man. Tommy, thank you for coming in, brother. You named it the Doorman series. And you know what, Tommy? After you, that is after you, my brother. The Doorman series created by Tommy Real Deal. My word to you. Thank you. Love you guys. Good night.